Hello friends, welcome to Dungeons & Dragonfly, where I adapt various characters for use in D&D. I'm Dragonfly9078, and today I'll be building Del Conager, better known as the Engineer. For a bit of background, the Engineer is a Texas native and former oil field worker. At some point, he started working as a mercenary, building machines for the red and or blue teams. So what do we want from this build? Well, the Engineer is categorized as a defensive class, specializing in defending points and objectives as well as area denial, so we'll need to be able to control the battlefield. He famously accomplishes this with his three buildings, the sentry gun, the dispenser, and the teleporter. But he also needs to be able to hold his own in a fight without his buildings, so we'll pick up some guns as well. Looking over at ability scores, we'll be using the standard point array. If you'd like to roll for stats, that's fine, just make sure that your intelligence is high enough to multiclass. We'll start off with a 14 in strength. Our main method of building is percussive maintenance, and it works surprisingly well. Dexterity will be 12, we need to be good with our hands for all the fiddly electronics in our gadgets. Constitution is only a 10, the Engineer is tied with a couple of other classes for the least amount of health in the game, but he has 11 PhDs, so we'll make Intelligence 15. Wisdom is 13, so we can keep a lookout for enemy team members approaching the base, and we'll dump Charisma. We don't really talk to people outside of our team, so we just don't really need it. The Engineer is a human, meaning we get +1 to all of our ability scores, and he's a veteran mercenary, so take the mercenary veteran background for proficiency in athletics and persuasion, as well as with land vehicles. We also get proficiency with one kind of gaming set, but switch that out for the guitar. As I'm sure you all guessed, we're starting off as an Artificer. Honestly, when I was first looking at this build, I thought it would be entirely Artificer, but we ended up needing a multiclass that we'll get into a little bit later. All Artificers get proficiency with Thieves' Tools, Tinker's Tools, and one other set of Artisan's Tools. My pick would be Smith's Tools in case we need to do any welding. We get 2 skills from the Artificer list. Arcana and Investigation are good choices for a Scientist. And we're a Magical Tinkerer, letting us imbue tiny non-magical objects with magical effects, like glowing, playing a sound, displaying an image, or putting off a smell. For cantrips, Firebolt is good for our pistol, dealing up to 4d10 fire damage with a ranged spell attack, and Mending lets us fix small breaks in objects. We'll also pick up Snare to lay a trap that hoists a small, medium, or large creature into the air if they fail a dexterity save, and restraining them. They're restrained for up to 8 hours, though they can make a dexterity save or arcana check to free themselves. Second level Artificers get Infusions, do-it-yourself magic items that we can keep for ourselves, or pass out to our friends. Goggles of Night are welding goggles that also give us dark vision. Enhanced Weapon is a +1 wrench, and Enhanced Defense is a +1 hard hat. Since our dispensers restock our teammates' ammunition, we'll also pick up Repeating Shot to make a +1 weapon that makes its own ammo, so the heavy can save a little bit of money when he fires Sasha. At third level, we'll pick our Artificer specialty. Choosing the Artillerist specialty gives us proficiency with Woodcarver's tools, and lets us use our action to summon an Eldritch Cannon. The cannon is a small object that we can activate with our bonus action. If we want a sentry gun, we can make it a flamethrower to force a dexterity save on creatures in a 15-foot cone, dealing 2d8 fire damage on a fail, half that on a success for short-range area denial, or a force ballista to make a long-ranged missile attack that deals 2d8 force damage and pushes the target back 5 feet on a hit. If we want to make a dispenser instead, the Protector gives an amount of temporary HP equal to 1d8 plus our intelligence modifier to the cannon and any creatures we choose within 10 feet of it. When we activate the cannon, we can also make it walk or climb up to 15 feet if it's poorly placed, and if it gets damaged, we can repair it by whacking it with our wrench and casting Mending. The cannon sticks around for up to an hour, and we can summon it once per day, though we can also expend a spell slot to summon it again. Artillerists get a couple of spells that are always prepared. Shield adds 5 to our AC as a reaction, which is good since overalls tend not to protect very well from bullets. And Thunderwave is a short-range shotgun blast that deals 2d8 thunder damage to every creature in a 15-foot cube that fails a Constitution save, also blasting them back 10 feet. This isn't an Artillerist special spell, but we also get Sanctuary, which forces creatures that want to attack us or cast a harmful spell on us to make a Wisdom save. If they fail, they have to either pick a new target or lose the attacker's spell. It lasts for a minute, but it ends early if we attack, cast a spell on an enemy, or deal damage to a creature. Fun fact, according to the rules as written, both the flamethrower and the force ballista originate from the cannon itself, meaning that using them shouldn't break Sanctuary. As always, talk to your DM about this though. it could be argued that you're still dealing damage by activating the cannon, but if I was your DM, I'd let you do it. To finish up level 3, we get Right Tool for the Job, letting us spend an hour to create any kind of artisan's tools. They're not magical, but they do last until we make another set. At 4th level, we get our first ability score improvement, and our job is to cast spells in an active combat zone, so take Warcaster for advantage on concentration saves and the ability to cast single target spells instead of making an attack of opportunity. Hitting someone with the wrench as they run away is good, but shooting them in the back tends to be better. Speaking of which, guns! 5th level Artillerists get to make an Arcane Firearm, which is a special magical gun that adds an extra d8 of damage to all of our damaging Artificer spells. That's like a free upcast of Thunderwave. It only works on 1 damage roll per spell though, so attack spells with multiple targets have to pick 1 to get the extra damage. We don't have any spells like that at the moment, of course, so let's pick one up. Scorching Ray is a bigger, better shotgun blast that shoots 3 beams at up to 3 targets, each one dealing 2d6 fire damage on a hit. We also get Shatter, which forces a Constitution save on creatures in a 10-foot radius sphere, dealing 3d8 thunder damage on a fail. Things that are made of stone or metal have disadvantage on their saves in case we need to fight an enemy engineer. At 6th level, we get Tool Expertise, doubling our proficiency bonus for checks we make with tools we're proficient with, as well as 2 more infusions. Enhanced Arcane Focus adds +1 to the user's spell attack rolls and lets them ignore half cover. And to go along with our repeating shot in the Restoring Ammo department, we'll take the Spell Refueling Ring, which lets the wearer use their action to regain a 3rd level or lower spell slot once per day. We can hand this out to a teammate, of course, but if we keep it for ourselves, we can also use it to summon our cannon additional time per day, since we can do so by expending a spell slot. 7th level Artificers put the team in multiplayer first-person shooter with Flash of Genius. A number of times per day equal to our intelligence modifier, we can use our reaction to add our intelligence modifier to an ability check or saving throw that we or another creature within 30 feet of us makes. And at 8th level, we'll make that even better by bumping our intelligence to 18 with our second ability score improvement. We'll finish off our Artificer levels with the 9th level of Artillerist for Explosive Cannon. The damage for our Flamethrower and Force Ballista both increase to 3d8, and if we're within 60 feet of our cannon, we can use our action to make it explode, forcing all creatures within 20 feet of it to make a dexterity save, taking 3d8 force damage on a fail, half that on a success. And for our last 2 Artillerist spells, Fireball shoots a missile that explodes in a 20-foot radius sphere, dealing 8d6 fire damage to every creature in the area that fails a dex save. And Wind Wall makes an updraft in a 50-foot line that blocks small flying creatures, fog, gas, arrows, and other small projectiles. Any creatures in the area when the wall appears take 3d8 bludgeoning damage if they fail a strength save, but it doesn't deal damage after that. We can shape it however we want as long as it's in a continuous line, so use it to set up a screen around our cannon that enemies can't shoot through. I would have liked to have gotten up to the 15th level of Artillerist so we could have both a sentry gun and a dispenser out at the same time, but unfortunately the multiclassing just didn't work out that way. First level Wizards get Arcane Recovery to restore their spell slots. Once per day, at the end of a short rest, we can regain spell slots with a total level equal to half of our Wizard level rounded up, none of which can be higher than 6th level. We're taking 11 levels of Wizards, so this means we can get back up to 6 levels worth. At 2nd level, we pick a focus for our magic. Technomancy replaces our spellbook with a fancy build PDA that we can record spells in at half the cost as normal. We also get proficiency with hacking tools and sidearms if we want to pick up an actual pistol at some point. 4th level Wizards get our next ability score improvement, round off strength and dexterity for better wrench work, both as a weapon to destroy and as a tool to build. 6th level Technomancers get to program their spells into a computer so that when we flip a switch or press a button, the spell is cast. The spell stays programmed for up to 48 hours unless it's activated earlier. We can only have 1 spell programmed at a time and can only program 1 per day. It's a weird ability, but it's kind of like contingency. We can prepare a spell with a long casting time like, say, Leomin's Tiny Hut, and activate it with our action to give our teammates a safe place to retreat to in the middle of combat. At 8th level, we get our last ability score improvement, so we can round off our Charisma and Constitution for 20 extra HP at level 20. So we're going to be holed up in our fortress, but what if we still want to cast spells at invaders? Well, 10th level Technomancers get online casting. A number of times per day equal to our intelligence modifier, we can cast spells through computers or other devices. For instance, if we need to see the creature we're targeting, we can cast a spell through a live security camera feed. The spell has to target specific creatures and can't affect an area, so we could cast, say, Scorching Ray through a camera, but not Fireball. Our capstone is the 11th level of Wizard for 6th level spells. Arcane Gate is the entire reason we multiclassed in the first place, because it is the best way in the game to get the Engineer's teleporters. We make 2 gates, one within 10 feet of us and the other within 500 feet of us. The portals stay open for up to 10 minutes with our concentration, and while they are, anything that goes in one comes out the other, as though they were adjacent spaces, so we can rapidly deploy our forces to the front while we hang back and defend the base. Looking over at spellcasting, with our multiclass we ended up as a 16th level caster. For cantrips, Light can be a headlamp to see in the dark when we don't have our goggles of night. On-off lets us turn our gadgets on and off from a distance. Blade Ward gives us resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage for a turn. And a Message lets us hop on Discord to voice chat with our teammates. The Engineer also has a weapon called Short Circuit that shoots lightning, so we'll pick up Shocking Grasp. Alarm lets us ward an area to alert us if an unauthorized person tries to sneak through, useful if there are multiple entrances to the place we're defending. And we can use Grease to set a trap that knocks creatures prone if they fail a dex save. Find Vehicle summons a pickup truck, which is good for transportation of course, but it can also be used to provide a source of cover that we can hole up against, or block a passage to funnel enemies where we want to send them. And we'll get See Invisibility to catch any spies that are trying to sneak into the base. To create a base for those spies to sneak into, we get Galder's Tower, which creates a 2-story tower that we can furnish in a variety of ways. The spell takes 10 minutes to cast, but the tower lasts for an entire 24 hours, and we can recast it to extend it another 24. Wall of Fire makes a wall of fire that can be a 60-foot line or a ring with a 20-foot radius. Creatures in the area when the wall appears take 5d8 fire damage if they fail a dex save, or half that on a success. We also choose one side of the wall to give off heat, dealing 5d8 fire damage to any creatures that end their turn within 5 feet of the wall on that side, or that pass through the wall. Any good engineer needs to be able to make whatever they need, so we'll pick up Fabricate, which lets us convert raw materials like stone, wood, or metal into finished products. If the material is stone or metal, the finished object can't be larger than medium. If not, it can be large. We can only make simple objects unless we have the relevant tool proficiency, but with woodcarver's tools, smith's tools, and tinker's tools, we should be pretty set for whatever we want to make. Wall of Stone creates a wall made up of 10 10x10 panels that are 6 inches thick, or 10 10x20 panels that are 3 inches thick. We can use this to throw up some quick fortifications, or even a bridge, and if we maintain concentration for the entire 10-minute duration, the wall becomes permanent. For more magical fortifications, Wall of Force creates either a dome or sphere with a 10-foot radius, or 10 10x10 panels of magical force. The wall is transparent, but nothing can pass through it, it's immune to all damage, and it even blocks travel in the ethereal plane. Something I do like about these builds is that they give me a chance to look at spells that I might not look at normally. Guards and Wards isn't much use while you're out adventuring, but it's great for securing a base. We fill an area up to 2,500 square feet with magical effects made to keep people out. All of the hallways in the area are heavily obscured by fog, and every intersection has a 50% chance to make creatures think they're going the opposite direction than they are. All the doors in the area are locked with arcane locks, and up to 10 of them are disguised as walls by minor illusions. All the stairways are filled with webs, and we can put one of our choice of programmed dancing lights, a constant gust of wind, 2 areas of stinking clouds, a trap that casts suggestion on creatures passing through, or 2 magic mouth spells somewhere in the area. Now that the build is complete, the question becomes, how good is it? Well, we are absolutely fantastic at defending an area. With enough time, we can make enough fortifications and traps to turn away a whole army. Tied to that, in combat, we're very good at area denial, with area of effect spells along with wall spells to push our enemies exactly where we want them to go. And just being there makes our teammates better, with plenty of support options to heal and protect them, and infusions to make their gear more effective. On the other hand, there's a very good reason we're not on the front line. Most of our hit dice are from our wizard levels, so we barely have more than 100 HP. We also have an unfortunate number of concentration spells, including all of our wall spells and Arcane Gate. It's good that Wall of Stone becomes permanent, but that's not happening in combat unless our combat runs for 100 rounds, at which point we have other concerns. And finally, despite all of our walls and traps, a creature that can fly or teleport will be able to bypass most of them fairly easily. The Engineer is an interesting character, but he's definitely more designed to stay in a town and fortify it against attacks. He's not bad in a dungeon crawl, but I think he'd really shine as an NPC, or even as a bad guy fortifying the enemy team's fortress. I hope you enjoyed the build. If you have any feedback or suggestions for characters you'd like to see me build, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you for watching, friends. I will see y'all later.